Hey guys, welcome to episode number 289. Today is Friday, so it's Fan Friday, and I've had quite a few requests lately to do a complete walkthrough of my 300-gallon Rubbermaid turtle tank, stock tank. So I figured it was high time to give you guys a complete walkthrough of this system. It's not quite done yet, but it's close enough that it's worth walking through completely. So first off, we have a 300-gallon Rubbermaid stock tank. Down below here you'll see I've just used PVC parts to cap that off. There's a bulkhead installed there, and then that's capped off actually on the outside and on the inside, as you can see there. And this tank is filled up typically to about here, about 2 inches from the top, and that allows for the maximum amount of water without allowing the turtles to jump over the edge. This tank is not drilled, and there is no water coming into this system or water leaving this system yet, but I do have plans to look at doing something like that in the near future. But for right now, what we do is we just use the Python here, and we take about a third of the water out and replace about a third of the water every week or every week and a half with that hose, and that just goes over to the sink over there. So that works for now. We have plenty of filtration in here that the water stays pretty clean, even though it's got a pretty heavy bio load with the turtles and the larger fish in it. So I guess we could start with the filtration here. What we have here is a 55-gallon drum, and I have set it up, I've raised it up a little bit to allow the top of that to sit above the top of the stock tank here. And this is a Skippy filter design. And what I have is a submersible pump down there with a large pre-filter. Let's see if we can grab that real quick. Here it is. There's the pump, there's the pre-filter, and that's sending water up around, I haven't really gotten this all situated yet, but into this barrel. And that barrel has a filter pad which needs to be changed, and under that it has Metalla, and below that it allows the water to go into the bottom of the barrel of the 5-gallon bucket, which is drilled, and then that water enters this side of the chamber. This filter is still a work in progress. I do want to remove the bio balls. I do want to put K1 media in here, and I have my air system up here so I can turn that on and show you guys. I can get quite a bit of air flowing in here for that K1 media when I do end up picking that up. So that's great. That will add enough biofiltration to take care of this tank. Self-cleaning K1 media is really the way to go in a filthy tank like this. And it was designed for ponds, and this is an indoor pond, so we've got that going for us. We do have a couple of Eheim heaters sitting in here in the open side of this barrel, and then we have just a standpipe which forces the water that returns to the tank to come from the bottom of the barrel here up through here. We have our uniseal, and then into the tank itself. I've added this as a little bit of a muffler to keep the noise down, which works fairly well. If the water was up to where it was supposed to be, you wouldn't even hear it at all. So that's the filtration in a nutshell. I do need to clean this up and finalize it, but it is functioning, maybe not as well as it could, but the idea is there. And a 55-gallon filter is going to be plenty to filter the 300 gallons of water that you see here. But while I'm still in kind of the startup stages of that, I do have a Fuvel FX5 here, which is keeping the system running as well. I will be getting rid of this once I have my K1 media fully cycled in the barrel. But I do have the inlet here and the outlet there, and it's pushing quite a bit of water around. So that's the filtration. In terms of the lighting, we do have our T5 high output lights here. There's 2 bulbs there and another 2 bulbs there. And it seems like it's not quite enough light to grow the frog bit that's in here. The frog bit has been getting chewed up and tossed around, and I think it's on its last legs here. But I'm not sure that the light is quite strong enough for the frog bit. I could lower it a little bit and it would probably grow the frog bit just fine, but what it is growing are these mangroves here in the middle, which I'm pretty excited about. These are for sale for the most part, so if you're interested in picking up some mangroves, let me know. These are red mangroves. You can see the leaves are sprouting. They have very healthy roots, and those are for sale. So if you're interested, they're in freshwater right now. They can be transitioned to brackish or full salt water. It's a great plant for removing nitrates in your aquarium. And right now I've just got them sitting in these big media baskets that are filled with hydrogen, which allows me to kind of stick those roots into the water and pull them out without damaging any of the roots themselves. So that's pretty cool. That's kind of sitting there in the middle. You see I do have quite a bit of aeration going around these media baskets as well, and that's just to kind of keep everything suspended and to get as much of those nitrates in the water up to those roots as possible. So that's working really well, and it seems like it's growing those leaves just fine. And the turtles, for the most part, leave them alone. So there we go. We do have a mercury vapor bulb here as well over our basking platform. It's off right now because it's nighttime, but it does a pretty good job at keeping this spot right here very warm, and we do see the turtles hanging out there quite a bit. So that's the only UVB in this setup, and it is located right over that ramp. And the ramp itself kind of leads from the water up into our nesting box, which I put together earlier this year. And that's basically a cement mixing tub with some fake plants and a combination of sand and peat moss, which is just the right consistency for laying. If the turtles feel like laying, or if they feel like getting out of the water, they have that option here. We got a little piece of acrylic on the front, and then some mesh, some plastic mesh netting on the sides. And we do have a heat lamp here, a ceramic heat emitter, which allows me to keep this side of the nesting box warm and that side of the nesting box cool, which provides a nice temperature gradient in the event that a turtle does want to come up here and scope out a spot to lay. So haven't really seen them up in this nesting box basically at all, but I do know that they come up here because I can see the scratch marks and the claw marks in the sand every once in a while. So that's the nesting box. I'm not super thrilled about its location. If I stand back here, you can see it really juts out into the room quite a bit and interrupts the room. I might end up trying to see if I can place it against the wall and move the filter barrel in some way to kind of compress the footprint of this whole system and make it a little bit more manageable. But for right now, that's the nesting box. It's working really well. It's holding up, and can't complain about that. I did build a little bit of a wooden stand for that, which is keeping it suspended, keeping it up above the water, and that's working out great. And while we're down here, we might as well talk about the stand itself here that I've built for the 300-gallon Rubbermaid stock tank. I do have a video of me constructing this, so if you want to go check that out, you can. And basically what it is some concrete blocks and then some 2x6s, which are built in a frame, which is roughly the same shape and size as the bottom of the stock tank, which allows me to raise that up off the ground and keep that suspended, which is very important because the floor in a basement is quite a bit cooler than the air in the basement, and that will allow, you know, most of that warmth to stay in the tank as opposed to transferring to the floor. So that's the stand itself. We've talked about the filter, the plants, the nesting box, the lights, the heaters, and you know, that's a pretty good summary of the 300-gallon stock tank. We do have 3 Diamondback terrapins hanging out in here, the stars of this tank, and we do have quite a few endlers in here as well. A lot of them are sleeping at this point, but there are quite a few of them in there. You can see them swimming around. Kind of hard to see. Maybe if I go on the other side we can see them better. So those are basically the culls. The endlers are basically the culls from all of my other tanks. And so they're just hanging out here, having a good time, and they're glad that they didn't go into a freezer or you know, whatever else people do with their culls. So I don't believe in that. At the very worst, they're going to end up as a turtle snack. The turtles will sometimes wake up before the fish do, and you'll see, especially bad turtle, will snap 1 or 2 of them up in the morning if she's quick enough. But we do have quite a bit of Malaysian driftwood down here, and somewhere in there is a giant common pleco. He's kind of tough to spot, and I'll see him once every few days, but he doesn't really like to come out all that much, and I can't blame him. There are a couple clown loaches in there as well. Again, they like to stay pretty hidden, so I don't see them very often. And other than that, we don't really have much else in this tank. Eventually, I might end up going with a different species of turtle. I've actually considered doing map turtles. I'm not quite sure which type. Perhaps black knob or kegels, but if you have any suggestions, let me know. Yeah, I think this would be a great setup for basically anyone considering keeping a colony, a small colony of turtles. I did keep these guys in this over here, the 125, but it just ended up being a little bit too much of a hassle. The turtles ended up running into each other all the time because they would just swim from one side to the other and then back and forth, and so they were always in each other's way. They were a little bit more aggressive because of it, and it just didn't work out that well. I did have that set up for the better part of 2 years before I was able to set this up. And if you're considering keeping turtles, skip the giant glass tanks and just go straight to the stock tanks like this. You'll be glad that you did. These things cost like $100 used, and for that price you really can't beat it. It allows the turtles and the fish enough space. It's a very large footprint to swim all around and to get away from one another. And they're generally much happier and calmer animals in a setup like this. The only disadvantage to something like this is obviously it's a lot of water, so it is fairly expensive to heat, and at the same time it does create quite a bit of humidity in the air down here in the basement. So I do have a dehumidifier, which is it's not going 24 hours a day, but I do like to keep it under 40% humidity down here, so that's what I have that dehumidifier set at. So it keeps it nice and comfortable down here, but that is another expense to running something like this, because it is difficult to put a cover over something this large. especially if you have animals like turtles in it who are looking to get their UV light. You don't want to hinder that. Also, you don't want to create too much humidity underneath. If they're trying to get out and bask, they need to be able to completely dry off. So that's kind of the situation down here, and that's the evolution of this 300-gallon stock tank. You know, it's a great thing. It's a great experience. Anyone who comes into this basement immediately walks over to this, and they're pretty amazed at it. It's quite a bit of fun to just hang out, you know, rest your elbows on the edge of this thing, and chill out and watch the turtles, watch the fish, and interact with it. So it's nice that it's up on this level and not on the floor, so I don't really need to bend over to access the tank, and it's provided quite a bit of enjoyment. So this is what we've got so far. If you have any suggestions on how I could improve this tank, let me know. If you have any suggestions on map turtles that I could eventually keep in this tank, let me know. I do have quite a strong water current, and I know they like you know, plant cover, so I will be looking to get more driftwood in the future. I will be looking to rearrange this and finalize that, and maybe thin some of these out in the future. But that's what we've got right now. It's pretty exciting, and I hope to continue to evolve that over time. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the tour of the stock tank. I know it's a long video, but this is probably the most in-depth that I've talked about this stock tank so far, and it's nice to have it up and running. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.